Now, 2024 was a big year for artificial intelligence companies, and almost every field have been looking for ways to incorporate AI into their business models. In some cases, just to speed up workflows, in others, to find whole new ways of working. But amid this excitement, there's also caution amongst experts about what rapidly improving artificial intelligence systems could mean and whether governments can be quick enough to keep up with new technological advances. Well, earlier I spoke to Margaret Mitchell, the chief ethics scientist at AI company Hugging Face. She was formerly at Google, where she founded and co-led its ethical AI group. She started by telling me about some of the concerns around artificial intelligence.
On the ethical side, one of the things that has really emerged over the past year is around consent. So when we put out things online, is it okay for companies to use that to train models and then sell it back to us if we're not being compensated? A lot of really talented artists and writers have spoken up about the consent issue and how they're not consenting to have their data used, the kind of things they're sharing online in order for that to be used by other companies. And that's becoming more and more of an issue, and there's lots of lawsuits and such going on right now to figure that out. And on the sort of what to be worried about side, in terms of sort of general public everyday kinds of things, I think that has more to do with the fact that generative AI technology, so technology that looks like, real people and things that sound like real people, is working very, very well right now. And that means it's easier for people to be scammed. Voice cloning has become something that really sounds quite real right now. So, older populations in particular who aren't as aware of the massive changes that have happened over the past few years are much more likely to be taken in by misunderstanding that this isn't their loved ones talking to them, asking them for money, that sort of thing. As well as the generative AI problem that's been around for a while now around non-consensual intimate imagery. So we've seen a rise in that as well. So people understanding what they can do and also understanding how the technology works is really, really critical in order to make sure that everyone's sort of protected from the negative sides of these things.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting ideas of who might be in charge of AI policy under Donald Trump. Figures like Elon Musk and David Sachs, they've said some of these concerns are censorship. What might that mean going forward? And do you think it's a priority for the new administration?
Yeah, I mean, they have a point. There's always pros and cons. So you might over-regulate and stop really good technology from being developed in an attempt to sort of protect people. That does happen. There is a tension there. I do think that one thing we might see more of, given the change in the US administration, is more towards open source. So sort of sharing the code, making it a little bit easier for people to understand what's going on under the hood. People might remember that when Elon Musk took over Twitter, he immediately tried to make the Twitter code open source. I don't know how exciting that was to people. For geeks like me, it was pretty fun, but sort of providing a little bit more transparency into what's happening with the technology and letting people external to companies play around with it and understand what's happening and sort of test it for themselves is probably going to be more supported. But it really is anyone's guess. AI regulation hasn't really been super partisan, at least in the US. It hasn't really corresponded to party lines of who's agreeing with whom. So it really is kind of unclear what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and very briefly, if you can, Margaret, because we are running out of time. What about concerns that AI models have hit a wall when it comes to high-quality data they can use to train? Can you talk us through why that's such a problem and what the pitfalls are?
Yeah, so, people want more and more technology, more and more things, more and more applications that they can do. And then as you run out of quality data, that means that you're not able to put out as high quality sort of products. And then worse, you start training on the data that you've already put out. So you do this sort of feedback loop. You're not getting new information. You're getting old information that a previous system put out. And that means the quality of the system start to degrade and you start getting very homogenized, boring kind of outputs.